Roses are red, violets are blue, trim your balls, and your date will thank us too. What's up, fellas? Valentine's Day is knocking, and Manscaped is the remedy for what the love doctor ordered. His prescription? The all-new Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, designed to elevate your grooming game and shine like the heartthrob you are. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com to snag 20% off plus free shipping with our new code SHOW20. So, let's talk about the hero of Valentine's Day, shall we? The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This electric trimmer features skin-safe technology guarding your V-Day treasure against any grooming mishaps. It also comes with their brightest LED spotlight yet. It's brighter than your best romantic smile. Perfect for precise grooming, even in the trickiest spots. Oh yeah, and it's waterproof as well, so that makes shower shaving an absolute breeze. But you know what? That's not everything the Love Doctor ordered. This package also features the Weed Whacker 2.0 nose hair trimmer, Manscaped's liquid formulations, and 2 free goodies: the Shed Travel Bag and the Boxers 2.0, because comfort is king for all my dogs. And for a happy ending, there's the Manscaped Refined Cologne. It's the Valentine's Day touch to your grooming routine. Elevate your grooming routine and set the stage for a romantically smooth celebration. And for all my bearded kings out there, Manscaped brings you the Beard Hedger Pro Kit, designed to shape your scruff effortlessly. It sculpts cheek lines and maintains beard styles, giving you that suave look for your romantic moments. Seamlessly handling even thicker beards, it's the perfect tool for a polished, date-ready appearance. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SHOW20. That's SHOW20 at manscaped.com. 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code SHOW20 because your grooming game upgrade awaits, ready to charm your Valentine's dates. Hello everyone and welcome to the FM show. I am your host Tony Jameson, and for this episode I'm joined by the tactical Tinkerman himself. It's Aaron, aka RDF Tactics. Aaron,
yes.
How are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. Some good Football Manager experiences recently. I've been in my groove making tactics. So make sure you head over on the youtube.com/RDF Tactics. And that's where I've been. So last episode, I spoke about trying to use Football Manager as an escape, but I couldn't escape because I kept losing. But through the losing, you kind of discover little things and little tactical nuances and stuff like that. So that's what I've been doing now, trying to be basically what I've learned. I'm putting it into practice now. And a target forward is becoming my favorite. They are crazy. It's mental.
Any reason why?
Yeah, well, in the last episode, we had this little thing where, make sure you go and check it out, but we had this thing where we was in game, so we're doing match scenarios, and then we had to push for a win, and we had to kind of make a tactical tweak, and then what we did is put a complete wing back on, a Mazzala and the target forward, and then of course, the Mazzala and complete wing back link up on the left-hand side. The wing back whips it in for the target forward and he nods it in. But they are pretty powerful. So I think what we have, sometimes we think we know what's going to happen before we actually try it out. So many people are like, I'm not using the target forward. Even possession football, I'm not using the target forward. We're not lumping it in the air. But if you're playing short passing, then your players are smart enough to know we're not going to lump it to our target forward in the air. We're going to give it to our target forward to his feet, sort of thing. So a lot of the time, so let's say you want a deep lying forward, but you've got really a striker's profile as a target forward. If a target forward on support, he's still going to do that dropping deep, and he's still, which is what I'm getting into my videos now. So everyone's like, no, if a striker, they're not saying that, but I'm guessing a lot of people's perception, if they're watching a tactic and they want to recreate something and they see the striker dropping deep, automatically deep lying forward or false nine straight away. And they're not even thinking about a pressing forward on support or a target forward on support. And all of these support is in the it's kind of in the clue. Support. They're going to support play either way. They're just going to do things a little bit differently. Whereas a complete forward or a deep line forward might move into the channels. They might further out, go out into those wider areas. A pressing forward might just stay in the middle and drop deep, sort of thing. So yeah, that's what I kind of had this idea in my head already anyway. But I think I also allowed the audience kind of to get to me. So I think that I know if I'm recreating a tactic and I've got an idea of using them as a target forward, but because people are going to disagree with it anyway, I don't want to deal with that hassle. So I was just like, you know what, deep line forward because I mentioned they drop deep, you know what, and then you know what I mean? And then to them, it seems like, oh yeah, that's a good recreation. But now because I'm putting a lot of game clips inside it, so when I'm playing, I'm making sure I'm recording the game clips. So when I'm talking, yeah, this is why I've got a target forward. And you've got like 4 videos or 4 clips of him clearly dropping deep still. So you can't really argue with me. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing recently.
Mate, this is what I love, right? This is what I love about this game. We've been playing this for God knows how many years now. Like, I've clocked in 30 years. You're probably at least 20 years in this game now. And every single week we learn something a little bit new. It's just like, you can't just like, I mean, I can play Mario for God knows how long and I know the game inside out. And I'm like, I've been there. I know exactly what's happening. This game, little things just pop up to you and you're just like, hey, I never knew that. But
exactly,
you're right, that whole thing with target forwards, like, you're right. People instantly do get the whole, they're going to be up top. They're going to be up top. But you're right. Of course, if they're going to drop, they drop. They naturally drop.
Exactly.
It's about being outlet, isn't it? It's
exactly.
Play. They are the focal point. So take the word target out, replace the word, call them focal point strikers if you need to.
I think that's what gets to people is the names. And even like they want someone that can, I don't know, they might have a player. So like, let's say Hakan Çalhanoğlu. I don't know why his name's in my head, but I could just picture him having,
the other day, by the way.
Yeah, that's why I could just picture him. I can picture him having like tri-killer balls and stuff. And then like everyone, if you want to recreate him, like you really don't have to use a playmaking role because he's got that tri-killer balls in there anyway. That's just his style of play. You can't take that away from him. So even if you use him as a central midfielder on support, he's still going to try those killer balls. If he's got flair, he's still going to try and show that flair off.
I've had Volantes pinging balls like that before.
Exactly,
word. And it looks great in the match engine as well. He's like pinging it into the space. And you're like, what's he done that? Oh, he's done that because he's going to make a run. And it's just things that we can't.
And my biggest thing is now the winger role and like the inside forward inverted winger. So like in football, you know, like all the possession teams now, the wingers must hold width, and it's like everyone now goes for the winger role. I do sometimes as well. It depends on the system around it, which is also very important. But sometimes I just don't like using that role, even though I know he holds the width naturally. It's because he still looks to beat his man and whip a ball in. And sometimes I don't want to cross the ball. I want to work the ball inside. So you can still use inverted winger and inside forward, ask them to stay wider. Majority of the times they will do it. Obviously, they're still going to have that inverted movement. Sometimes they might move inverted a bit too soon or whatever it is, but they will still move out wide. And it's just finding what works around your system as well. So there'll be a system where the winger will work perfectly fine. And there'll be other systems where the winger, in fact, is just wasting too many chances, just crossing. And if we're not getting bodies into the box and we're trying to work the ball into the box, it's going to be difficult for the winger, get to the byline, just see one player in there, rather than an inverted winger who might actually just move inside and look to link up with other people once he gets the ball.
I know, even little bits as well. Like, I mean, you mentioned that inverted wingers and inside forwards, like, and wingers. Like in my current Larissa team, I've got those 3 roles. Like, I've got, so my right-sided winger is a winger on attack, old school winger on attack. He gets forward and he sort of makes the play happen. On my left-hand side, I've got an inverted winger because I've got my complete wing back on attack who goes on the outside around him and gets to the byline. So he comes inside and does fancy things, and I've got a Mazzala on that there as well, so they can sort of all move around each other. But I've got one player who he's a proper, if I call him a workhorse, it's disrespectful to him, right? But what he is, right, is he's an incredibly useful tool in my arsenal because looking at his attributes, he's not brilliant. Okay, and we're up near the top, and I'll mention a little bit more as to how up near the top we actually are. Right, he looks like he shouldn't be a team in a team that's in Europe. Okay, even in a Greek team that's in Europe, He's big. I had him there the first season we got into the top division because I thought I need someone who's big, Greek as well.
Yeah.
And what he did was he scored loads of back post headers for me. And I
Oh,
moved him from being an inverted winger to an inside forward. And his goal ratio in that position was fantastic. If we were chasing the game, we knew put him on, take our winger off, put him on, make him an inside forward. And the amount of times he arrives late in the box, getting up against other defenders and getting above them and putting the ball in, like he was literally like we know if we put him on, we're going to get a goal.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if you get that thing where you just have certain players that just, for some reason, just always do certain things that for some reason no other player can do it, but his attributes aren't that great.
Yeah.
And that for me was like some Alex Collado guy. I've been talking about this guy for like 3 years, and for some reason, just the way he is on the match engine and the way he looks is like, he just stands out for me compared to everyone else. And I don't know why he can do this, but people with actual better attributes and stuff can't do what he's doing. So I think that's what you go through with that winger, because sometimes those far post headers are useful, but not everyone, a Saka won't be doing that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
No,
it's not something that everyone can do.
But I'll tell you, so he's in there doing that. There's another guy, a lad called Ali Sai. We've got who's again like an African player. He comes in. He was great in our first season. He was part of that midfield with Joe Bellingham and Mvue, like sort of working stuff around. Then he lost his place because Joe was running the show. We're building a statue of him in Greece. Like the best Bellingham is doing great things. But then obviously it's a squad game, right? So. Yeah. Ali Sai starts kicking off like, Gaffer, I need game time. I'm like, I get that. And, it might be with a heavy heart, but it might not be at Larissa. It might have to be at another club. And it's like, all right, Gaffer, I've made a mistake, right? I'll hang about, right? I'll stay. And we put him on. And again, his attributes are starting to drop a little bit. And he was never a world beater anyway, but he would just turn up and he just gets goals. He just does things in the match. And I'm like, there's no way this lad should be able to, as a bit part player, have 8 goals. Like it just doesn't make sense. But he turns up and he puts his shift in, and it's almost like he's banging on the door going, Gaffer, I can still do the job. And I'm like, I know you can. Like, I know you can. That's why you're still here. I need you here. Plus, it's really cheap to sell your shirt in the club shop because there's only 2 letters on the back of it. So we've got that, and we are trying to do other bits and bobs as well. I've noticed as well that, and this is where I think this is the influence I'm getting from you here, is I've seen and I spot on me little radars and stuff on the SAS skin that I use, that when I can see teams sitting deep against me, because I'm now in a position where teams will sit deep against me because apparently I'm quite good going forward. I've taken off, work the ball at the box. I'm spotting it about 5-10 minutes in. Thinking right there, sat quite deep, and I'm hitting, and I'm just ticking, hit early crosses.
Oh yes, that is,
and then I'm just pelting balls in, and I'm just causing all kinds of panic.
What formation are you with again?
So I'm a 4-3-3 at the minute, and it's really nice. So my Mazzala and my box to box midfielder do all the running. I've got an anchor who basically holds everything up, and then I've got, as I say, that wide winger on attack, and then the inside or inverted winger out on the left with a pressing forward. And I'm rotating that because I've got a pressing forward and I've got a guy who's come in who can play as an advanced forward. So I flip between the two. I prefer a pressing forward myself personally, but I know that an advanced forward also works nicely. So
it's one of those things though, isn't it? Is that the advanced forward, I think, will get goals, but I also think they force things too much. Like, I don't know if it's their move, like their run, and it's kind of a trigger for someone. I spotted that run, boom, and then pass it to him. Whereas a pressing forward is a bit more, he's not as demanding when it comes to the ball, and then he's kind of there in and around when you are then trying to create that chance. So I do get that pressing forward, and then sometimes I'm like, all right, you scored in about 4 games, time to switch to advanced forward.
Yeah,
and nudge a couple goals.
We've got a lad, we've got a Taiwanese striker, a striker from Thailand, called Mwenta. Quite a few people have heard of him, a guy called Mwenta. So we've got him up front with Pedro Mendes, who's not the lad who played at Portsmouth. So Mendes scores.
I still think
goals. I think it's from I want to say it's Boa Vista or Maritimo or something. Possibly.
I don't know why I've had him at Yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know if he was on loan to like Italy, Ascoli. I don't know why he's at Ascoli in my head, but I know exactly who you talk about. I used to sign him. I think it was about 2 years ago, maybe on Football Manager.
Yeah,
As far as I remember, like the sort of the perfect pressing forward profile in the game. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
100%,
yeah.
and just goals,
Yeah.
but made of paper. Like he'll crumble. Like he'll score you 8 goals, then he'll be out for 6 weeks, and you're like, oh god. But then he'll come back and somehow he'll still end up with like a goal every game, and you're like, so how have you done that? Like you went through periods where you haven't scored and periods where you've been injured, but he does the job. So when he's not scoring, Moenta's in there. He's now starting to get the groove.
Yeah.
As I say, Bellingham and Mvue are picking balls, like they're coming a bit sort of not deep, but they're like sort of 2/3 of the way into the area, and they're spotting the runs of the outside wingers. So they're cutting these little passes through that are just sort of dragging the defenders on the wrong side, which is fantastic to look at in the match engine. We've got Sago from Arsenal.
Oh,
him on a free transfer. Yes. So he's come through. We've got Cade Gordon, who's come through from Liverpool.
Yeah.
So we're keeping that sort of like English contingent in there. We've got Kessler Hayden from Villa, who played 30 matches in the Premier League, and we signed him on a free.
What?
It makes no sense. Like Villa released him, and I was like, "Well, he can come to us." And so he's now my wing back on the right hand side, and we've got Simon Brolin, the 6'8" Swedish goalkeeper.
Oh my god!
So I mean, he saves all the penalties basically because he just fills the whole goal. So we mentioned at the start of last episode that this is my first sort of foray into Europe. Okay, I finished 4th last season, and I said I'd started pretty well, and I was a bit worried that I'd maybe started a little bit too well. Well, it turns out that's continued. Okay, and I'm still a little bit worried because the January transfer window has closed, which is fine. We didn't lose anybody.
That was the busy period.
Key. Yeah, I was expecting this is when we're going to lose people. And I was thinking, well, we need to bring players in because what we said at the start of last week's episode was, well, how do I plan for a European adventure? Do I treat it as 2 games and I'm out? Or do I treat it as you're here for the full thing?
Yeah.
And the Greek Cup and the league. So it turns out we're still in Europe.
Wow.
We're in the round of 16 in the Conference League. Don't know how that's happened.
I was going to say. Who have you got in there?
We've got Tottenham. And we've just knocked out Rangers. Sorry, let me rephrase that. We've just battered Rangers over 2 legs. We beat them 4-1 at their place.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there going, is this a bad Greek year, or are our team just good? And like all the chat are going, I think we've just got a good team. Like we're playing really nice football at the minute. So we battered them. So we're playing Spurs in the round of 16. Now Spurs beat us 2-0 in the initial Conference League phase, and it was 2-0. And I was like, right. We played well. We didn't. 2-0 was fair enough, right?
Yeah.
So we played Spurs in the first leg. We went 2-0 up. At home, 2-0 up. Then they get a goal back, and I'm like, all right, fair enough, whatever. We then go 3-1 up, and I'm like, okay, yeah, normal services resumed. They get a penalty. And somehow, before half-time, it's 3-2, and we're like dominating the game, and it shouldn't be 3-2. Like, that's far too close. And then, of course, the inevitable happens. There's a ball played over the top, picked up, and then there's a strike from about 25 yards. It's a brilliant goal. By the way, it's a brilliant goal. But it's 3-3. And I'm like, I don't think that's a fair result.
Yeah.
Really. So we've now got to go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 3-3. No away goals, thankfully, which is going to be helpful.
Yeah.
But we've got to go there and get something. But what's interesting, and you'll like this, and I'm sad that Steve's not here, by the way. He's failed a late fitness test. We should have probably mentioned that at the start. It's taken us like 20 minutes in. They're going, are they going to address that Steve's not here? No, not yet. We'll get to him in a minute. So we go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium 3-3. Spurs, Aaron, are 18th in the Premier League.
Wow.
2 points behind Sunderland.
Wow.
Big Ange
It is
is still
Spurs.
in charge.
Spurs are one of those sides though that tend to struggle in football manager. Like when you're not managing them, and sometimes you just have a look at the Premier League. It's them and Brighton recently as well. I'm like, whoa, Brighton are definitely too good to be there as well. But then it makes me smile whenever I see Luton out of the bottom three. I'm like, go on. You start rooting for that, go on, Luton. You start checking back. And they're slowly dropping deep. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you let me down. You've let me down.
Yeah, so we've got the interesting. So the second leg is going to be really interesting as we go there. We're into the semi-finals of the Greek Cup. We've gone further than we've ever gone before. So we smashed Panathinaikos 3-0 and 3-1. We're now up against PAOK Salonika. We've lost the first leg 2-1, but that's because we rested players, because obviously we've got the European games as well. So I'm in this difficult moment now where we qualified for the championship group, which is the top 6. We qualified in December. We were that far ahead at the top of the league that we were guaranteed to finish in the top 6 come December. We've gone into this championship group, which of course is now just the top 5. We have lost a couple of games because players are starting to get fatigued and we're rotating around and going, well, what's our preference? Is it the league? Is it the cup? Is it Europe? And it kind of has to be Europe because we need that for the coefficients, but it needs to be the league because we need to win the league. So we've gone from being 5 or 6 points clear, I think, at the top of the table to being maybe like a point or two behind. So we're in third, I think, but we're 1 point separates first and third.
Yeah.
So we're in this really difficult spot now where all we have to play is the top 6. We've got 10 games to go, and that could decide whether or not we are going to be champions for the first time in this save, or whether we're at least getting into Europe. Like that's clearly it's going to be nigh on impossible to finish 6th. I think we're about 20 points clear or something. Like we can't finish 6th. So it's going to be: is it Champions League? Is it Europa League? Do we win? Do we win Europe? Do we win the cup? We don't know. Like so much riding on it, and yeah, we've just got a team that's like they're just cooking at the minute, man. It's so much fun to watch. Like going into big games against AEK and Olympiacos and Panathinaikos and PAOK with no fear, and we're just going out and we're just beating them. Like we beat AEK 3-0 in their place, just pummeled them. I'm like, we're all right.
That championship group will scare me though. That I can't imagine going in that situation and then losing the first game. I think my head will be gone from there. I'd be like, all right, lads, it's over. It's over. that would be me.
Just resignation in hand already. Like, sorry.
So I was doing a Nice replication, but I played the games, and then this one I got like into it because PSG, I was top of the table, and I was like, wait, this tactic is actually pretty good. This is like the first time I've actually seen someone topple PSG. Like, what's going on? And we're doing it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm telling everyone on Twitter. We've got like, I think it was like 14 games left, and it was like, I'm gonna do the title thing on Twitter. Like, we can't bottle. There was a goal that we scored, and it was so insane. I posted on Twitter, I was like, we cannot score a goal like that and bottle the title. And then there was one game against Nantes, and it was like, we're 1-0 up. Everything is so comfortable. And I just see someone going with 2 foot the scissor challenge. I'm like, fourth. Red card. And then like the worst thing is like there's not even all right, let's just grind it out until halftime. It was like red card, concede. Like literally just instantly. So it was like, do I push? Do I stick? What do I go cautious? And then Nantes just like every time the ball went to Wahi, his name is Wahi as a striker, just go. So then it was like, now there's like 2 points between us, and then we've got to play PSG at home as well. A couple games go by, both of us are winning, and it was a PSG game. Go 1-0 up again with Dante header. I'm going mad. I'm like, it's happening. And then I just go back onto Football Manager because I posted it on Twitter. Go back to Football Manager, and I can see the momentum thing it was up there for Nice and just went boom. And it was just at the bottom, all you can see is Mbappe's name. Dembele, Moani, Mbappe, Dembele, Moani. It was just, the game ended 5-2, basically. The game ended 5-2, and I was just so gutted, man. So gutted. Because I was just, when you do that, you jinx yourself almost, where you're like, because I posted the league table and I was like, so from this position, how many points behind PSG are we going to end up? Bear in mind, we're like 6 points ahead of 10. So it was like that jinx, but you just, at the same time, you kind of like, you can feel it in it. And then it was at that point, and then I look at the results and it was like, 6-0, 4-0, 5-0. Like, they're not even conceding. I think they conceded like 11 or 10 goals the whole season. Even 9 maybe. Insane, man. The goal difference
not fair.
The goal difference is almost plus 90. I don't know how anyone's supposed to compete with that. And that's a computer playing as well, not even a human.
They don't even know what they're doing, apparently. So,
they definitely just went on FM24 Gegenpress, and then just that's what they done.
If you look at PSG and they're using Aaron's tactics, it's like, these are my tactics. This is ridiculous.
Oh man, and it was just like, and there's nothing you could do. It's just like PSG, and it was just like, even tactically, it's like there's no point even trying.
Well, you've said this
4-1 at half time.
You've said this before, though, haven't you? Like when you're managing those sorts of leagues, like France, of course, is the obvious one. It's a little bit like where I am in Greece as well. Like you think you're really far ahead, but then you realise you're not, because then you have to start looking at the other teams. And you're like, oh no, now I'm focusing on them, and one slip up is all it takes, and everything else is gone. Like Olympiacos having a bad season, AEK are having an okay season. I'm having the best season I can possibly have, and somehow I've slipped a third, and I'm like, how? How?
It's a bit like the Premier League now, isn't it? Like to top Manchester City, you've got to have like damn near a perfect season. Like you've got to be hitting over 90 points at least, and that's just insane to think that's the norm in football. Yeah, that is mental.
Well, thankfully, we don't need to get that in Greece, but I think we will end up with quite a high number of points.
There's only 34 games in League 1, and you still need to get that just to beat PSG. Oh man.
Yeah, well, it should be good. It should be good. So hopefully in the next episode, we'll know whether or not we're celebrating as champions or whether it's just back into Europe for another time. And, for me, it's fine. The expectation was to finish fifth. According to the media, was finish fifth. The board was still going, well, if we can finish top half, I'm like, I like you lot. I like you a lot. But I've just been given a 4-year contract, so I'm very happy with that. So they want me to stay, and I want to stay. There's no need to move around. So hopefully we should start to get a little bit closer to that builder nation. We have mentioned, of course, that Steve isn't here. It's bizarre, isn't it? We got the band back together last week, and then the band are kind of like, can't do 2 tours in a row. Unfortunately, I've got to do one.
2 injury prone.
Steve, unfortunately, he failed the fitness test. He's got a nasty cold. There's quite a lot of it coming about at the minute. So I should say, I'm going to read from the script here. This is what he's put, okay? This is Steve's words verbatim, okay? Now, producer Steve has failed the late fitness test and won't be joining us for this episode, but he has given us a helping hand with the script through a haze of cough medicine and decongestant tablets. So if any of the things I say in this episode are a bit out there, that will be why. Okay, so just so everyone knows, whatever nonsense I say now, it's Steve's fault, right? It's not mine. Well, Steve wrote it. I have to say it. What I will say, Aaron, and this is definitely not scripted. This is a massive thank you to everyone who has joined us on Patreon this week. Another busy squad building episode over on Patreon. So the last couple of weeks we've had Owen Falvey, we've had Keith Tinker, James Denson, James Nair, and Paul Wardle all come and join us over on Patreon. Thank you so much to see everyone who has done that. If you want to become a member of the squad and receive exclusive bonus content every single Monday, Aaron, there's a new Patreon exclusive episode dropping and early access to these public episodes. Where could people sign up if they wanted a little bit more FM show in their life, that is?
Well, if you want to become a member too, you can go to patreon.com/the FM show pod. That's patreon.com/the FM show pod. And we've also put a link in the description of the show because that's how cool we are.
It's time to say hello to the newest sponsor of the FM show. Everybody say hello to Full-Time Prints. Full-Time Prints offer a variety of prints to give football fans the chance to remember their favourite football moments forever. They currently offer a range of goals, team sheets, commentary and league tables. Prints are available in A4 through to A1 and can be bought with or without a frame. It makes the perfect gift for occasions such as Christmas, birthdays, Father's Day, Mother's Day, just because presents. Like, seriously, this is the perfect gift for every football fan. You want to go on the website, browse what they've got. They've got so many things to choose from, whether it's teams, European teams, international teams, moments that happen. And if you can't find something you like, you can even do a custom request. You can create anything you've seen yourself. Maybe you've seen a goal you want to relive. You can have that. Maybe you want to relive the first match you ever attended. Or maybe, if you're a Football Manager fan, you might want to do a custom one just designed for Football Manager that immortalizes your save forever. You can have a print done that has all your trophies, the entirety of the save, the key moments. Maybe you want to relive the Champions League final and have your team sheet and everything on there. You can do that with full-time prints. I'm thinking about getting myself one, and I'm going to put it right behind my head in my office, just behind here. And as a little sweetener for you, we've got a little bit of discount to help you out here. So use the code TheFMShow. We'll get you 10% off your entire order. Go to fulltimeprints.com. Use the discount code TheFMShow. That's 10% off your entire order, and there's free shipping on orders over 50 quid. So go get yourself a full-time print. Immortalize that Football Manager save. Let us know what you've got. Visit fulltimeprints.com. Use the discount code TheFMShow. Get yourself 10% off. And remember, free shipping on orders over 50 quid. Right, main meat and bones of today's show then. We are going to talk about, drumroll, one of the most requested things to talk about. Aaron, it's Wonderkids.
Yes.
And the reason that we're going to talk about that is obviously, as we say, it is requested, but we probably need to work out, first of all, what a Wonderkid actually is. Now, we sort of chatted about this literally as we were setting up to get started. Is there a dictionary definition of Wonderkid?
I was like, wait. Before we record, like, is there an actual definition of Wonderkid? Because to me, it's just like, I just watch football and she'd be like, oh, he's got potential. He's a Wonderkid sort of thing. Obviously, in Football Manager, it's a bit different. There will be more of a definition so Football Manager can recognize, or you can recognize that player is a Wonderkid. And I do believe in Football Manager is once they reach a certain current ability and reputation as well. I think reputation is a big part of it. And it kind of makes sense as well, sort of in real life. So if you look at the Wonderkids in real life, they are all players with very high reputation. We all kind of know about them, or we somewhat know of their potential as well. So I'm that's what I'm leaning towards as a Wonderkid. A Wonderkid that you can recognize, or majority can recognize, has huge potential, and they are also got some large reputation behind them.
Yeah, because I think that's where I always look at. So I instantly go for potential, but the reputation thing is probably maybe something that I'm not focusing on enough in that sense. So, Aaron, you've obviously got the game up in front of you as we are now. Now, if we are going to go Wonderkid Scout, and I suppose we get asked all the time in streams, don't we? Like, or you maybe get asked in videos or in the Discord. You know, there's a little link for the Discord below. Talking about Wonderkids, talking about how we attract them, talking about who the best Wonderkid that they've got is, what sort of attributes do we look for a Wonderkid? I mean, where do you want to begin? Where do you want to begin, Aaron? Should we talk about, let's talk about attributes first of all then, because for me, it might sound a bit contentious here, I don't know whether attributes for Wonderkids there's no sort of like rhyme or reason for them, is there? Like, you can look at something and go, like, oh, this kid's got 15 for determination. Let's say, for example, they're a striker, right? 15 for determination. They've got 14 for finishing. They've got 15 for composure. Because it's FM, they've got 8 for work rate. And they've maybe got 16 for pace and acceleration. You're like, okay, cool. This kid could be pretty good. And he's got a few other sort of like decent attributes as well. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to become a Wonderkid. Like, you can see those attributes in pretty much most players in Brazil, I would imagine. Like, so those attributes straight away don't mean Wonderkid.
No, they don't. And sometimes as well, I do, like, you don't really know, or you won't have a full idea of where a player is in their career as well. So some players can actually max out their potential pretty early as well. So I don't really use attributes. It depends. So if I'm looking for a winger, I always want pace. So I'm I'm going to look for pace. And if it's a wonderkid, so I'm looking at someone that, okay, this player might become a club hero or whatever it is. They need to be really good. So for a winger, then I might be looking at pace and dribbling. For a striker, again, it might be pace again and finishing. But it's just like one or two attributes rather than trying to build a whole player around attributes. Even centre-backs, I don't think I would even search an attribute for a centre-back if I was looking for a wonderkid. Maybe determination, possibly, because if you've got good determination, then there's also a higher possibility or a good possibility that he's going to progress and reach his potential as well. So determination, I guess you could always use, but then again, it's not the be-all because you can find someone with a determination of 8, bring them in, tutor them, or mentor them now in Football Manager, and that can boost as well. So even determination, like, it wouldn't be like, oh, I'm never going to sign that guy because his determination's on 9, because it can actually improve drastically.
Yeah, it's not as easy anymore, is it now?
Yeah.
They're onto us a little bit because determination used to be, for me, the key attribute for any youngster, irrespective of whether they're wonderkid or not, and for any player, really. If you're determined to work hard, then chances are you will improve because you're putting the work in. That's how I understand determination to be. Granted, if that player's personality doesn't work accordingly with determination, maybe they're really determined but they're fickle, or somehow you might get someone who's really determined but unambitious. It can happen. That's gonna be a jarring mix. So you're not gonna get an absolute wonderkid, but you might have someone who's just got a whole dearth of natural ability and they're not that fussed about getting better. I mean, maybe just upon it last week, Dimitar Berbatov didn't really strike me as someone who was out there to constantly work hard, but you knew that he was, but he didn't look like he was putting the hard miles in. He was just so talented. So I guess in game, like, I've got a lad from, because for me, like, often wonderkids surprise me, believe it or not. Everyone start listening and watching the podcast going, oh, Tony, no, really, you do shock us that you find wonderkids by accident in the 3rd division of Finland. So I've got a guy in my current Larissa side, and I think he's probably about to touch into wonderkid territory. He is a 19-year-old Indonesian centre-back. I can't remember if I've talked to you about this before or not. I certainly mentioned it on the episode with second yellow card. So 19-year-old Indonesian centre-back. He's 5'8", so alarm bells should be ringing at this point. He's a centre-back at 5'8". Okay, his jumping reach is 9, understandably. His heading is 13. So if they're putting low crosses in, he's getting them, right? He's on the floor. He's clearing them.
John Terry style.
You know, at school when you'd nod them in on the line, like, you can do that, right? And work rate's not brilliant, but his determination is something like 18. His marking is 16. His tackling is 19. His anticipation is 15. I'm like, this kid's incredible. Like, I just know that he's going to be good. It's like on his star things, it's like, oh, possibly libero. I'm like, possibly libero. Realistically, more likely to be a fullback. But like, I'm looking at him, and because we've signed him for nothing, and the game's now saying he might be worth about 10 million quid, like, he might end up as a possible wonderkid. Now, that's not necessarily purely just down to him, is it? That's down to other factors as well, like our coaches bringing him on, mentoring, all that sort of stuff. We can almost develop a player into being a wonderkid. Is that right?
Yeah, you can, but you can't.
Like, they've got to have that within them anyway.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say is that you don't get carried away with the label, though, because it's just a label from the media. It's not really telling you that this is a wonderkid and he's gonna be amazing. Doesn't everyone remember those every year or so in the newspaper, and we've got the England team in the future and what it could be, and they've just got like the England possible lineup in 2030, and it's gonna have like the players that are kind of known now around the youth systems that's going on right now, but not all of them are going to make it. It's never a thing where because he's a wonder kid, he's going to be the next Messi sort of thing. He can be a wonder kid and literally fizzle out once he gets to the age of 21 and 22. It could mean that he played a lot when he was young, he developed pretty quickly, and that's it. He's just there now. That's the furthest he can go. Or there's going to be some guys that don't really get as many games at that age, don't really get that wonder kid label, but as they get to 21, 22, 23, and they're playing so many games, whether it's at Benfica or something like that. Again, I'm using Benfica because you can kind of see this happen in real life as well, where then they play a lot of games at that age, and then boom, they're sold on for massive amounts of money, and they become to be world-class players, but they never had that wonder kid status. In my head, I'm picturing Ruben Diaz. Now they've got João Felix, who was the wonder kid, and he's for sure blah 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 blah. Then you've got Ruben Diaz now, who has won the Champions League, he's won the Premier League. He's basically a top centre back for Manchester City. Whereas João Felix, everyone's thinking, what's the next step for him? Like he's on the bench at Barcelona, sort of thing.
Yeah, and there's so many, isn't there? There's so many players who, as you say, like, you look and go, oh yeah, this kid's going to be fantastic, and they might not even be fantastic for you. I mean, again, look at real world examples. Jadon Sancho, like, he didn't fit in. He was at Man City, I believe, wasn't he? And then went to Dortmund, and then shone at Dortmund, and then came back to United, and is now, of course, back out at Dortmund. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the players that are in your team, they might not look to you as their wonder kids. They might become wonder kids in a different environment. And even then, just the fact that it says wonder kid, as you say, like, you need to almost go, right, he has the core attributes, abilities of being a wonder kid. He could develop into a really good player, but it requires the right setup, the right coaches, the right training, the right team around him, the right like amount of game time, like the right style of game time, he's got to be playing the right position, the right role. Like, you don't know. There's so many variables go into this.
Yeah, exactly.
That it's no longer a case of, oh yeah, you buy him because it says wonder kid and he scores loads of goals for you.
Yeah.
Which I guess is great now that it is a bit more, there's no exact science to it, but I'm sure some people may be listening to this going, but I liked it when you did just sign Freddie Adu and he got you loads of goals and that was easy. Like, why is it so difficult now?
Well, I guess because of what starts to happen in real life as well. And Freddie Adu himself is a great example of why I don't think the game should be geared that way anyway, because if there's a wonder kid, it means that he's sold on to be this elite player in the future. I think there are certain players though, like there will always be those certain players where it's sort of, all right, this guy's nailed on, like it's nailed on sort of thing. There's always gonna be those handful, but there's always also that another big pool of players where they're just that wonder kid that they can possibly go on to be this great player, or they might not be able to. But it's part of the fun though, when you do sort of miss out on or you think someone is a wonder kid. I've done this so many times with Football Manager where I'm on stream and then we get so excited that we think we've just found like a whole bag of wonder kids. We sign a lot of them and like, there's only actually one guy that actually might turn out to be world class here, sort of thing. And he kind of let down, but it's the learning curve sort of thing as well. And it doesn't mean that that player is a bad player. If elite player is just elite, there's only so many elite players in the world anyway. So he can still be a good player or a decent enough player for you. So don't automatically again be turned off because he's not rapidly developing like you thought he would or imagine. If he's performing, he's performing.
That is a great point, because so many people, I think, and apologies for anyone who's listening going, oh God, Tony's about to talk about real life football. Like, I know, I'm sorry, I'll get back to this in a second, right? But I've heard people talk about players going, oh, these players, like, we don't have a world class X, Y, and Z. Like, there is no world. Like, there's about 4 world class players, surely. Like, the definition of world class is they will fit every single team. There's only a handful of world class players. Not every team has one. Like, not every team has multiple world class players. Like,
it's a bit like Saka, really, right? We saw, like, he's 22 and he's got like 100 goal contributions. Is like, Yeah, but he's still not that world-class player, is he? And it's just that, wow, like, you can't, you know what I mean? But then you would never say no to a Saka, would you? So, like, because they're not going to be that elite, or they're not at that elite stage, it doesn't mean they're not a good player or they can be highly effective for you. It just means, look, they're not Messi, they're not Ronaldo, they're not Benzema.
Like Jude Bellingham's not even there yet, but you sense that he's probably the closest to being there. Like Haaland, like even Mbappe, I guess there's a question on whether he is that level, you know? But you look at a Bellingham and you're sort of going, yeah, he probably is the next one who's going to reach those heights because he's just so much better than everyone else.
And it's those sort of examples in the Haaland and Bellingham where you're looking at them and like, for me, this is a bit nailed on. They're going to be really good players, aren't they? No matter what happens, they're going to be really good players.
Okay, so if you're in the market for Wonderkids, right? And I know this episode is probably geared towards managers who are in the Championship or the Premier League levels, like, so, you know, top the higher ranked divisions, I guess, to try and buy them. I suppose you could generate them in other nations. So what we're about to get on to now, you can be generating those players. Like, where would you start to be looking for Wonderkids? I guess domestically, is there any sort of teams that tend to produce quite a lot, or should we look more interestingly as to what nations tend to produce Wonderkids a little bit more frequently? Because there's one nation that's already at the front of my head, and I'm going, let's say it.
You know what? Previously on Football Manager, it used to be Serbia. I used to just fly to Serbia like every season because there's always that one player that's just insane at Partizan. And it's just, it was just like, it was just a given. And it was like a midfielder or a centre back, and just like, there's no one like this guy. So that used to be my sort of, because it was always cheap. I know many people go to Brazil. Sometimes though, Brazil can be a bit costly. Argentina sometimes it's a bit cheaper. It all depends again, because it obviously depends on the team as well. But for me, it used to be Serbia. But now, because I like to use data a lot, I kind of try and find obscure players anyway. And then from nations that... Actually, nations don't really matter. I do go a bit, when it's from Portugal, though. I don't know why. I always get this, sort of thing from Portugal. And Spain as well. For some reason, I don't trust Spanish youngsters. Because I think they're all good in Football Manager. And surely there can't be that many good players in Spain. So I think like there's so many of good players that have reached their peak early, sort of thing. And it's kind of difficult to weave out the ones that are great and then the ones that are just going to stay at that level.
That is a fantastic point, and definitely something that we need to consider as managers when we're doing our scouting, because we always bang up on this drum about sort of saying, right, okay, you will maybe see, so your scouts maybe bring a report saying, okay, this kid's currently 1.5 stars, 2 stars, 4.5 star potential. And everyone goes, he's got 4.5 star potential. And you're like, okay, right, first of all, that's potential based on what your scout thinks. So that's based on your scout's ability to judge potential accurately, which we know is a floating thing. It's not 100% nailed on. So many factors, of course, will go into that. That 2.5 stars or 2 stars that it is now is also a guesstimate, and that's in comparison to the players in your current squad. So he might not even be a 2-star player. He might never become a 4-star player. And again, in comparison to your current squad, everyone can be wrong. Of course they can. But you're right. Some players and some nations, those players will look better because they are naturally more gifted. Like, I think we could all probably agree that most Brazilian footballers are fairly decent. Like, the amount of players there are, you would presume most Brazilian players are better than most players from, I don't know, like sort of Finland, for example. Like, so your chances of finding a good player in Brazil far higher. Your chance of finding an incredible player in Finland, if you're the best player in Finland and you're so good, like, you're gonna be better, right? Yeah. Like, look at, like, I always go, like, Serbia said perfect. Croatia.
Croatia.
There's always an absolute belter.
There's always a Luka Modric there. Always.
Isn't there? A Dario Simic, a Dario Serna.
There's always. Nah, yeah. I think the one that when you start off in the game, I know we're kind of supposed to do this a little later anyway when we're talking about Wonderkids, but there's this like Martin Petruna, I think his name is.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember opening up FM and just seeing them like, there's another one. This is every year there is one from Croatia every year.
There was that Bio or Bello.
Dion Belgium, yeah. And so last year, you can say was the year for target forwards without actually using that role. So everyone used to buy target forwards, but just use them and advance forward anyway.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people did.
So you can always go and you can have a little nosy about in Croatia, and there's always someone who's sat there who's like 35 grand, but the second you buy him is worth 75 million. This kid's going to be great.
Croatia, Serbia. I'm going to go Belgium as well. Belgium is actually incredibly cheap for the quality of what you can actually get. Yeah. Belgium is another one.
I like Uruguay. Uruguay gets you a little bit cheaper alternatives to your Argentinians and your Brazilians.
Yeah, Uruguay. I'm waiting for. We're supposed to be doing countries that are producing Wonderkids, not the ones that you want to. But for Ecuador, I don't know why I just want. I want someone from. I want my Moses, because like the guy that you just find somewhere and then you just bring him over, and all of a sudden, just bam, he explodes, and then he's this 80 million guy from Ecuador. I don't know why I want it to be Ecuador, but I just want one from Ecuador, and I've never had one.
Though. I think it would fit. Like I'm finding a lot of, and again, maybe not full. Maybe this is the wrong episode for it, but I'm spotting a lot of good talent out in Africa who's coming into my Greek sides now, and like I'm getting like loads like Malian, Senegalese, like Ghanaian, like, and we're just having a great time bringing those players in, developing
Generation
Nigeria,
Generation
Foot. Oh,
ridiculous!
So good.
That's a farm. That's a Wonderkid farm.
Isn't it just? And South Africa, like getting the quality of South African footballers coming through now.
In South Africa, I do get this thing where like they get weird profiles where like they're just so good in certain areas, and then they'll be like advanced forward, like they'll have so much great attributes, and then the actual one that you're looking at finishing is like 7. It's like everything else is great, and then finishing 7. It's just, I guess.
This kid, advanced playmaker, he's got technical ability, he's got flair, he's got passing, he's got vision of 3. Like just.
Oh man, but it's like I always want to do one of those saves where you are like sort of a Benfica. Where I think Benfica is too much, because obviously you'd be very good in your league, but you could a Vittorio Guimaraes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just be one of those teams and then have that sort of transfer rule where you are only signing players from those sort of places anyway. Bring them over, and hopefully you can be one of those teams that earn money from that way, and then hopefully you can push on in Football Manager and be successful. I always wanted to do a save like that.
Well, this is why those homegrown saves are really popular, aren't they? When you are developing your own players, and like I think that we know that there's certain clubs in England, of course, who've historically produced Wonderkids and really good quality players. Now, part of it, as I say, part of it is going to be down to your youth recruitment and your youth setup. Now, end of the season, everyone gets really excited. Youth recruitment day. You're like, what have I got?
I got that message in the summer about my preview. When Football Manager threw that in, you've just killed me with that one, because now my hopes up for the whole season. I'm playing games thinking intake. Intake.
So youth intake comes in what, March?
I'd say March, April. Yeah.
And so in my save, we've just improved our youth facilities, and I'm like, this is gonna be good. And then we get our youth recruitment preview, and it's all just ease, and I'm like, great.
If I get an inbox full of E's, I'm way more hopeful than when I get an inbox with A's and A pluses, because then I always get let down. With E, is like, all right, my expectations low anyway, so if I see it, it's that fun bit, yeah. And then it's just like you just get this major excitement if you do get an elite talent coming through your youth thing anyway. But I think I did read, when you do improve your facilities, it still can take a season or so to actually have a real effect. So you can imagine in real life, let's say I've just built this fantastic infrastructure in the park right there. I'm then not going to instantly just get a brilliant. Yeah, I'm not going to just instantly get in a thing. It's going to take maybe a whole year training and blah, 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 blah. That's
this is
what
what I
I've got
think
it in
as
mind.
well. Like
Anyway.
we've got to win the league. That of course, brings more players in. Because at the minute, we're still little Larissa. Like, no one wants to come and play for us just yet. But if we're suddenly, the champions, then all of a sudden kids from everywhere are going to be like, we can come over here and have a bit of a look around in terms of like scouting and stuff. So if you were to try and get your scouts to look for Wonderkids, right? Let's use the game. How would you do this, Aaron? How do you want to do it?
I think I'll go into my scouting. I would make sure that I'm actually first, go into my staff on the left-hand side, skip all these tutorials, then go into responsibilities, the drop-down menu, go to scouting, and where it says assigning scouts, at the moment, it is my director of football, but I'm just going to make sure that I'm the one controlling that just because that's what I need to do. And then I'm going to go into scouting, and then it's going to be all in my recruitment focus, I believe. I actually can't do it right now because I'm on the first day of the season, so it's not allowing me to do it. But this is where I'm just going to skip a day or so. And that is where basically I will do it. I go there, and then I'll set my... So I was talking about actually having an African... I can do it now. So I was talking about having an African sort of recruitment idea. And this is, you can even do it here. So I've got my brilliant recruitment focus, and it's got age between 15 and 50. We're going to make this 15 and 20 because the max age for Wonderkid will be 20. I'm just going to leave this on transfer type. And then under it, we've got minimum current ability. Now, Tony mentioned it earlier. Remember, this is going to be your scouts. His opinion, and he's only going to feed you. So at the moment, we've got 2 stars, and he's only going to feed you what he thinks is 2 stars at that moment, but he can be wrong. So what I do is actually drop this down, and I start entering into the grey stars. So basically, we're starting at 0. I don't care about your starting ability. I just want to know that you've got some potential, basically, and then I can sort of look at your profile, and then I can judge for myself about your current ability. And then for minimum, I will go for around 3.5 stars. And then in further details is where you can kind of set if you've got any recruitment plans. So let's say nationality, it can be from Germany, it could be Mexican or Croatian. And this is basically where I would set out. But just for Wonderkids, so we're not thinking about any recruitment plans. We just want Wonderkids. I would actually have my priority as well here at the bottom. I'm going to just make sure this is ongoing. Now, you can be a bit more technical with this. So if you've got an assigned scout and you know that your scout is very good in the South America regions, then for areas, I would just choose the South American. And then this is where you can have multiple recruitment focuses. So you can send one to South America, to Europe, or certain places in Europe, certain places in Africa, and certain places in Asia. That's what you can do. Or let's just say, just generalizing, I've got one scout. He's just going to look for Wonderkids. This is basically it. And this is what I would do. Go to confirm. And then hopefully some Wonderkids will pop up over the days in my little search.
And with that as well, of course, you're saying there that you're looking for these massive recruitment meetings and sort of going like, you are going to have to go all over the world. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is it possible to find scouts in the lower leagues if you've only got a regional scouting focus, for example? Maybe you can't afford to go out and about to South America, to Eastern Europe. Maybe you can't even afford to go to the entire nation you're currently in. Like, what would you be recommending at that point? Because there's also the sort of the thing of, if you end up with one, like say, for example, you're Oldham manager, and one comes through your youth system. Like, how long is he in your club before you're sending him off to go and play somewhere else?
Yeah, he's not going to be there for long, is he? Unless he's got a high level of loyalty, then you might be lucky. But if it's going to be a good Wonderkid, then it's likely he's going to have higher ambitions, and then he's going to want to have to leave. But if I was a club like that, and this is not a great example because I'm currently buying Munich, I only done this to make sure that a lot of players pop up in the feed when we're searching for.
And most people who are looking for Wonderkids are probably managing at the top levels. So
I've got a little filter here. I just did this for the show basically, and there's just different ways. So when you're in player search, there's just different ways that you can search for a Wonderkid. So always age between the max age would be 20. So I've got world reputation, and we can set this out good. And now there's 41 players that are popped up in my shortlist here, and some good names here. We'll notice some Nico Williams, Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Pino, Wilfred Nonto, Antonio Silva. These are actually very good Wonderkids. So you know that this method is going to bring you some very really good Wonderkids, but it's not necessarily the most known around the world. It will be the most known as well in their continent. So we've got Alexandre Aravena, and he's from Chile, so he's well known in Chile, of course. Vicente Pizarro is another one. And then you got Mateus Arredo as well, that everyone loves, a Football Manager. And he's from Uruguay. So yeah, it will also pop up with some unknown Wonderkids to you, but obviously will be known in the continent. So that's one way you can do it. World reputation. You could do minimum release clause as well, which is kind of a cheeky way of looking for Wonderkids as well. So let's say, for an example, I put this price at 10 million minimum release clause. Go okay, and then we're just gonna search, and we've got a very nice Wonderkid. Valentin Barco has popped up on the list as well, which is a name that was gonna pop up later. His release clause is 8 million. We've also got Gianluca Prestiani, another name that was gonna pop up for me later. His release clause is 9 million, and we've got Arnau Martinez. So again, that's one way. Another way, I don't know if this way would work or how great it is seeing if they're actually in the main national team. That's also sometimes could be a good sign. But obviously, we're talking about if we're Oldham. So if you are Oldham, a team like Oldham, of course, with world reputation, you wouldn't use good. You would drop it down until you start finding more names that pop up in your search. Yeah. So that sort of thing. Even release clause, of course, you're not going to be searching for 10 million. You might go to 10 grand. And then you might find someone because, hey, we got a few Americans here that are popped up under 10 grand. And then youth appearances as well, which is another kind of sneaky, cheeky way that we've been doing online on stream. But we do notice that sometimes you get a lot of players that are just not that good. But what you can do here is just basically grab all these players and then scout them. So you've basically done the initial search, and now you've just handed it over to the scouts. They'll be like, I want your opinion basically on some of these players.
What I would do, if you're in the lower leagues, is instead of wasting all your money on scouts and scouting those players, I'd get them all in on trial if you can, and scout them yourself for free and do it that way. So that's always quite a handy way of looking at it. Not always going to work, of course. There's going to be some clubs, of course, won't want that to happen. Some of those players might not necessarily want to come, but it's a way of free scouting, I suppose, really, in the lower leagues. One thing as well, which is quite interesting, and I'm going to put it in here because we don't want it to put it at the end, which is the obvious place for it to go. But you can just search by media description if you don't want to be doing builders.
Is that still there? Because I remember I can't.
It's definitely in it's definitely in the SAS skin that I'm using. You can search by media description. If it's in the default skin, I don't believe it is there. But in the custom skins, you can still search media description is Wonderkid.
Yeah, I think you know what. It's still in the game, but I don't think it's in the search. It's more in the filter.
It's in a filter, yeah.
Yeah, so you can just do media description, and then as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube as well, hopefully we'll just pop the screen up quickly anyway. So you can see here, there's a lot. Oh, if I sort out by price tag, there are a lot of Wonderkids. So we've got Giovanni Reina, Harvey Elliott,
Don't tell anyone about this one, though.
Yeah, don't. Jumping out to Antonio Silva, Nico Williams. So there are quite a few, but you can tell as the price though starts to drop off. So the reputation, you can tell that now it's starting to be a bit more general media descriptions, and obviously their reputation is not as high. The transfer value is not as high as well. Maybe the transfer values has something to do with it here as well.
Well, but again, I mean that's another great example. You're saying there that the transfer values are dropping, and that proves the point that we made earlier on that Wonderkid is just a description. It doesn't mean this player is going to reach the top heights.
Yeah,
they've been given a moniker to say this kid's got a bit of potential. Yeah, how much potential we don't know, but he's going to be all right. He's going to potentially do pretty well. So again, you can literally search by the words of Wonderkids. It doesn't mean you're going to be finding the next £100 million player, but you never know. You never know. So. Is there any specific positions, Aaron, that you think are more likely to find Wonderkids?
Number 10s, wingers, attacking roles, I think. It's because the reason why, maybe fullback as well, but I believe centre-back, holding midfielder, and goalkeeper are such vital roles. It tends to require experience. You kind of have to know where to be, and you've got to be either the calm in your team, the someone that sets the tempo as well, dictates the tempo. So that
the leader,
tends,
maybe.
yeah, the leader, and that tends to come with experience. So I think you're more likely to find a wonder kid in the attacking areas where you're allowed more expression. Maybe you're allowed to make a mistake. If I have a young winger and I know he's skillful in training, in a match, if he loses the ball, I want to be shouting at him, go again, go again, go again. But if I have a holding midfielder and he tries to do a cheeky turn and loses the ball, I'm not sure I'm going to be encouraging him to do it again every time we build out from the back, if it's costing our team sort of thing. I think you are more likely to find a wonder kid in the attacking areas.
I have seen a wonder kid goalkeeper before, though.
Yeah, I've seen Dennis. In Football Manager, I've definitely seen Dennis. There's a guy called Dennis Seaman. Yeah,
he's definitely. And I've had a couple of new gen goalkeepers I've seen that have come through as Wonderkids, which is which I felt was pretty rare.
Yeah.
Which I guess sort of makes sense because
so at the beginning
how many times do you sort of like see the goalkeeper being the great, the best player in the team?
I've been put off playing young goalkeepers, to be honest, because it was. I think it was beginning of this year. It was my save in Italy, Barry, I think. And it was that sort of thing, like, why would I spend so much money on a goalkeeper, when a good goalkeeper, like right now, when I could just buy sort of a wonder kid keeper? And it was just like, I'm looking at his attributes, it's like, this goalkeeper's mint. But on the match engine, it's just like, you look young, like you're playing like you're young. Do you know what I mean?
He looks 12. He looks 12 in the game. He looks
a bit inexperienced out there. So, and I remember going onto Twitter because I couldn't work out why I'm conceding goals, and I'm putting my goalkeeper's attributes, and everyone's like, he's pretty good. And then there will be some comments that it's like, yeah, the age, the experience, this and that. And I'm like, you know what? I am not dealing with this again. I'm going with 32-year-olds. I don't even care what your profile's looking at. Your age, 32, you're in goal. That's what I'm going with.
That's how I recruit wonder kids myself. Like, how old are you? 46, good, and you get 10 years left. Come on.
So that's what I'm going with, yeah. Goalkeepers are attentive, but then obviously, there are going to be one or two very special goalkeepers from young age.
Yeah, and who's the players that you've seen then? Who's the names to look out for? I guess that's also part of what people are here for in this episode, isn't it? Who's the names that you have to sign?
Well, if we're talking about goalkeepers, then it has to be Dennis Seaman. I believe his name is.
Not spelled like David. Is he spelled like the phone company Seaman? Dennis spelled like Dennis, not like David. Yeah, Seaman spelled like Seaman. Sorry.
So we look at his attributes, but in game, he is only 17 years of age, and you can see that he's one of those modern goalkeepers that the super keeper likes to play with the ball coming out from the goalkeeper, passing it to his centre backs and all that good stuff. But his reflexes, his one-on-ones, his aerial reach and jumping reach are all fairly high. But another interesting thing about this goalkeeper is his leadership. His influence is also fairly high. So though I mentioned about not signing a young goalkeeper, Dennis Seaman is probably one of those that you make exception to, because like I also mentioned, there are going to be one or two absolute special goalkeepers out there.
Okay, excellent stuff. So Dennis Seaman in there as the goalkeeper pick. Defenders?
Yeah. So for centre-back, I'm going to go with Lenny Yoro. Is it Lenny or Lenny Yoro? He's 17 years of age and he is a monster in the area as well. 6'3". His jumping reach is 15. But again, remember, his age is 17 in the game. Now, one of the big giveaways, I think, with this one, and one thing that you think, he's probably going to turn out good, is his value. So, when a player's attributes aren't that great, so he's got a lot of 11s and 12s, but he's got a lot of them. So it feels like he's just like a corner away from actually turning into a world-class player.
He's good already.
And his value is at 32 billion to 39 million at the age of 17 playing for Lille. So he's not the most reputable team in Ligue 1. Very young, but very, very expensive from a young age. So I think that is also another decent indicator on Football Manager. He's probably going to be good.
Yeah, I think Scalvini at Atalanta, he's expensive and good. isn't he? Like, he's a big, good, expensive defender.
So,
That's what I like.
No, if you want someone that is just nailed on, like if you want someone that's virtually impossible to be bad,
he's not a top quality defender in the future. What has gone wrong?
The media description should read elite already. So again, for those on YouTube, if you look at his profile, you're like, how is this guy not starting for Italy already? He probably is. He's got 4 caps, so he probably is. Anticipation 17. To be able to read the game and positioning. So positioning and anticipation goes hand in hand. To be able to read the game that well at just 19 is incredible. Versatile as well, because he can play centre-back, defensive midfield, central midfield. His concentration as well. It's like, this guy, he's literally Nesta Cannavaro levels, I think he will be. And the player traits as well, brings the ball out from the defence, does not dive into tackles. Dictates tempo, like he's got the right traits for his profile. He's a libero, he's a deep line midfielder. He's great.
He's Italy's next top model, isn't he? He's just like
he's absolutely That is the one. If I did have that sort of money and I didn't really care about where the money's gonna go, that's the one there for me. I don't think you top that. I don't think you top that.
Well, we have to try and top it by going into midfield now, don't we? We're not going to top it. We're going to go somewhere else.
So we've got the pronunciations on some of these young players, man. So we've got Asan Odrageo.
Oh, I know who you mean.
Yeah. Some people know exactly who I mean. I'm lucky enough to have had this guy in my Lyon save, and I put him in my team straight away. So at Lyon, it was more so first season kind of void. We're never going to top PSG. Let's just get youngsters and kind of build them up and develop them and give them game time. And he was just absolutely amazing. He's the star. Now, I think he's the captain of my team now, even though his leadership was low, but it's like he was there for quite some time. But he's 17 years of age. He's a midfielder, versatile midfielder that can play anywhere, literally defensive midfield, attacking midfield, centre, right, left, left mid, and left attacking as well. And he's a good dribbler of the ball. He can shoot from range. He's got good flair, determination as well. We always mention about that determination. All of these youngsters that we've shown at the moment have good determination. So I'm guessing that attribute does mean something still. And then, of course, agility as well, which is kind of an underrated attribute, I think. Agility is quite important, I feel, especially in the top leagues, about how you maneuver on that pitch. If you're low agility, it's going to be fairly difficult for you to get to certain places before the opposition can. So I think agility as well sometimes can be a very undervalued attribute, especially in young players as well.
No, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And if you need these athletes, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and also you need players with an easier name to pronounce. So I'm going to go with someone a little bit closer to home and a little bit very, very close to home. In fact, I'm going with Chris Rigg at Sunderland.
Oh, I've managed that. I've got experience with him as well because I was Sunderland. Yeah, he's another one as well.
He's gonna be all right in real life, ain't he? I think he's gonna be all right in the game.
Yeah, was he the one? I was just watching one Sunderland game and they brought him on, and I think like he just came on and just scored instantly a far post header, and I'm just looking at his jumping reach 6.
He's not tall. He's not tall. But yeah, he can do it. He can do it. And he can do it. Looks like pretty good as well.
He's got good technique, good flair, composure as well, aggression. What I like about some of these youngsters as well is that they are sort of the fancy players, but they're still working hard. They still got good teamwork, good aggression, good bravery as well. And that's what I like about some of these new Wonderkids as well. I'm looking at Chris Rigg and Football Manager. He's only 16, which is just crazy. But look at the teams that won him. 5. Can you guess the 5 teams? It's quite
Lincoln, Parma, maybe, Jubilo Iwata, and Philadelphia Union.
It's quite literally Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Manchester United. And the reason why they're interested in him is because he has significant potential and could break into the first team sooner than expected. And that goes for all 5 teams. So I think you might win in this round here, to be honest, after seeing that.
He's a good player, isn't he? He's a very good player. So he's definitely one to look out for. If you've not seen him yet, have a little look at him, see what you think. Now, should we go higher up the pitch? Should we go at the focal point?
The list here is absolutely mental. I think you might have to go first on this one because I've got so many names in my face as well. Just as that, how do you even pick one?
Oh, well, there's one player that I would have banged the drum for last season, but I don't think he's as good this year as he was last year. And it was Anders Rister at Odd in Norway. It was a 16-year-old Norwegian kid last year. I think he's obviously he's about 18 now, and he's not quite as potent. But
what's the name? Sorry,
Rister, Ryste.
Yeah, found him.
Yeah, and he was so good last season. I think he sort of like came out of nowhere and would just get goals and just really effective. And I'm a big fan of Scandinavian players, like because they're fairly cheap and they have good resale value. Players as well, like Evan Ferguson. Everyone knows about Evan Ferguson, so we can't really use him. But I'm going to go with one that I think you might like, Aaron, and I'm going to go with Shaquille Van Persie.
Oh yes. I was watching
you, mate.
I was watching someone stream earlier and they were using him as well. Oh yes, Shaquille Van Persie. Another one he's 16 years of age, and the attributes like that you can tell that he's got some ability, but because it's not buffed out in all areas, it doesn't look great when you first open up the profile. But the value 18.5 million to 22 million for the 16-year-old. And that's just another sign there that this guy could be in the keyword, be amazing. But look at his key attributes: dribbling, first touch, heading, technique, flair, determination, acceleration, jumping reach, and natural fitness. When I was reading it through, when I saw heading, I was like, please tell me he's got jumping reach. Please tell me he's got jumping I hate that mismatch when he's got good heading and low jumping reach. That's just absolutely
brilliant, isn't it? It's brilliant.
Oh, man. But he's another versatile forward, actually, that can play left, right, and up front. And it seems that he can play in attacking midfield if you ask him to. I don't think I would with the composure and vision that he has at the moment. If I'm looking to develop him, I'll probably look to develop him up wide. But if I want to use these whole attributes, I think it has to be up front with that heading. It has to be.
Yeah, I think so. So I've gone with Van Persie up top. Then who have you got, Aaron? Come on, let's wrap this bit up. Who you got?
We're going to go all the way to Australia, mate. And then we've got Nestoroy Irankunda. Yes, this guy in real life will only score bangers. There's literally no such thing called normal goals for this guy. They have to all be 30, 40 yarders, ball traveling 200 miles per hour. This guy is pretty entertaining to watch in real life. I have tried to use him in Football Manager. I did try it in Australia. He's too good for Australia. I'm going to be honest, he's a bit too good, But he's one of those guys that I was saying earlier about the weird profile where like you've got very good attributes for your position, but then there'll be like a couple that just throws you off. So he's a winger, the pace, 16, 15 with acceleration and pace, balance 14 and agility. So you're thinking, oh, he runs with the ball often as well. So you're thinking, oh, once he gets the ball, ain't no one taking him off the ball. Apart from when you look at his dribbling, 8.
I've got it. Oh, I haven't got it.
First touch, 6. So I don't know what's happened here, but obviously his long shots are very high, free kicks as well, technique and finishing. So he's a very, very unique player. Someone that you probably have to have some patience for. I don't think he's going to be that consistent player every single game. And of course, you can't score 40 yarders every single game as well. In the game, Sporting and Porto do want him though. So he is interested in the game. He's got some interesting teams as well after him. So again, I'm using these things. Sometimes when I do see a team wanted in a young player, sometimes I do take that as this might be a signal that so this team's done their scouting. They think that he's got good potential enough to be wanted. So sometimes I do take that as this player could be decent.
And I think this is where we've got it. There's so many potential players that are decent. There's one player as well who I'd forgotten about, and he's at AIK. He's a Swedish lad. Now I'm led to believe he does turn out to be quite good on this game. And in fact, at my game, he's currently at Bayern Munich.
Oh,
in game.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Yona Kusi Azare. The young
He's gone there in
16-year-old.
real life, hasn't he?
Yeah, has gone in real life.
Yeah.
Same as your man you were just saying there. Has just gone in real life to Bayern. So I was wondering whether those two are both going to show up in your save as well. But yeah, he's.
So for video purposes, I do like to remove all of the added things stuff in the game. So like I did have the transfer update and all of my saves up to this thing. I'm like, I'll turn it off, make sure everything's vanilla. So
so there you go. So if you're Bayern Munich at the minute, you should probably be winning everything for the next 25 years with those two players in your team, I reckon.
6'5" jumping reach 17. My God.
Yeah. Post headers should be fine, shouldn't it? With that?
Far post probably at the halfway line as well.
Halfway line headers, doing the Van Persie diving header.
Leave the Shaquille, let me do it. I think that's my plan now. I'm gonna have a front three of this Jonah, Nestor, and Shaquille. Almost put him O'Neal. I don't know what that is.
Basketball, like alley oops, isn't it? Just like laying them up.
Yeah. That's my front three. That's my dream front three and football manager now. Jonah, Nestor, and Shaquille. First name basis only.
Get that, and then they all have to score 3-point headers from outside the area. Right, I reckon at that point that's a fairly good list of Wonderkids to look for. Obviously, do us a favour, let us know who your Wonderkids are, because we've missed a lot of them out. Really, we've only scratched a couple of bits and pieces in there.
I've got a list here.
Here's half a dozen. But do of course let us know who your Wonderkids are. Post us some pictures up in the Discord, particularly as well if you've created your own Wonderkids from the new gens that the game produces. Let us see them. They're the ones we're all excited about. And of course, we can maybe come back and touch upon this a little bit more, possibly next week, because it's one of those subjects in it where there's always so much more to talk about when it comes to Wonderkids. It's time to say hello to the latest sponsor of the FM show. Everybody say hello to Surprise Shirts. Surprise Shirts is a family-run business based in Lincolnshire selling mystery football shirts. A customer purchases a shirt on the Surprise Shirts website, tells them which teams they wouldn't like to receive, and Surprise Shirts sends them a football shirt from any team around the world. But for FM fans, Surprise Shirts have devised the ultimate way to choose your next save. Their FM mystery box guarantees a shirt from a club playable in the standard PC version of FM24. Not only can you solve the dilemma of choosing who to manage, you can represent the club with pride as you manage them to glory whilst wearing a piece of their history. FM boxes are just $35.99, a very reasonable price for a new football shirt, but FM Show listeners can save 10% when they use the code FM Show at checkout. So just a reminder, there's a text box at checkout to list any teams you'd like Surprise Shirts to exclude from the box, so you won't get any nasty surprises. So spice up your next FM save, support a family business by heading to www.surpriseshirts.co.uk and use the code FM Show. That's FM Show for 10% off. Aaron, final bits of conversation we have. Steve has left us some notes with regards to the mailbag here. We've got something here from Ryan, who has commented in the Discord, saying, "Evening all, nice to meet my fellow desk gremlins." Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think. It's not the worst thing I've been called this week, that's for certain, but I'll take that. So welcome desk gremlins, sat on laptops in imaginary dugouts across the world. Ryan's been an FM player for well over a decade and an addict for about 6 months now. Of course, help is available for all of us. Currently on a trophy hunter campaign that's carried over from FM23, 20 seasons in. They've won 23 out of 42 cup and league competitions, including 3 European Cups in the UK and Ireland. That sounds like something I was doing last year, doesn't it, Aaron? Clubs lists as followed: unemployed, Banbridge Town. This is my save. Kevin Druitt, Taffswell, Lisburn Distillery, Ards, Wexford, Cork City, Wealdstone, Dagenham and Redbridge, Chester, Dirge, Pennybont, Dumbarton, York, and now Hamilton Academicals. What a save that is.
Wow. Yeah, you're brave.
Lovely.
You're brave, man. I did want to say earlier as well, before I read the next one, I just want to say as well, with the Wonderkid thing, please do send us as well, if you're in the Discord or wherever, send us a screenshot as well, because we may be able to may be able to react to them as well, which would be pretty fun for us to do.
Absolutely.
So in the Discord, we've got a message from CCFC _ES. I'm trying to work out the CCFC. Hey guys, hey guys, I'm new to the server and I guess the FM scene as I've only been playing since FM21. Welcome. Currently starting a Build a Nation save in Finland with FC Honka. Just wondering if you guys in the server have any tips and tricks, as I've never attempted any of these save types before. I mean, I was just about to say you're pretty brave to be doing that even just 2 years in. I don't think I've even done I've done a Build a Nation, what? The first time I attempted it was maybe last year or 2 years ago. And I've been playing, like you said, for around 20 years. So it's one of those things that you kind of have to prepare yourself for. When it comes to tips and tricks, I think there are some certain ones. A lot of the times when I do dive into this sort of say, I like to find and come across them myself. But there are some tips and tricks that may be able to save you as well. I'm trying to think of some off top of my head when it comes to Build a Nation.
I mean, CCFC is quite active in my stream at the minute, so we are talking about the. He has been talking about this Build a Nation save, which has been great. What I would say to anyone who's thinking about doing a Build a Nation save is go back and listen to the episode with Second Yellow Card. That is the first port call I would suggest. And Second Yellow Card has some fantastic videos on how to build a nation. It's a slow burner. You got to be ready for 50 seasons.
One of the things I did when the team started to become good in the league was to start loaning and selling only to teams in my league. I think that's one of the things I've done. But other than that, I didn't really come across. I'm telling other people to do it yourself when you come across things. I don't think I did. I just got lost.
That's the only thing I would say, that you need to be able to understand that it's not just about you winning all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about everybody else getting better. So the league should get more difficult. You don't have to win the league every single season because you want to be winning Europe. You want all of those other teams in that nation to be challenging in Europe as well. So it is a bizarre way of thinking that you've got to be successful, but you also want everyone else to be successful. So you are selling players to your rivals who will make your rivals better. It's a bizarre way of thinking, but do come and join the Discord and ask some more questions. Final shout out of the week goes to Lewis Baker. Lewis says, evening all, been following the pod for a while and thought it was time I joined the community. Welcome in, Lewis. Been an FM player on and off since 2015, properly invested since 2021, currently doing a Journey Person Pentagon challenge with Meiji Yasuda in J2 Japan. Started in J3 with FC Gifu. No badges, no experience. First time doing a save like this. Really enjoying it. Well, welcome in, Lewis. Do keep us up to date on that. And of course, anyone else is managing out in Japan, please let us know, because so exciting.
And now, Tony, this comes from our Save Idea tabs on the Discord as well. So if you got any Save Idea, make sure you come and join the Discord and open up that tab and jot down any ideas you have. But Ryan asks, can people recommend some non-British Isle raise a nation countries? Oh, geez. FM Sloth replied, I'm doing Gibraltar. It's a bit difficult and slow so far, but hopefully getting somewhere. I love that. It's a bit difficult and slow, but hopefully we're getting somewhere. So you're not even sure if you're getting somewhere. You're just hoping that's the case. We're at least reputable a league as Sky Bet League 2 now. That's actually pretty decent, I think. That's actually pretty decent. Yeah, that's very good. That's very good.
That's very good. With Scandinavia, I'll always say Scandinavia's good. Sweden's fun. Norway's fun. I think that anything that's not the top nations, really. But I mean, it depends on how difficult you want it to be. You can build a nation in Portugal. It's like, you want to make Portugal the top nation. So yeah, I mean, even if you want to do British Isles, Wales is difficult.
I'm still laughing at. I'm just hopefully getting somewhere. I'm just reading this message. It seems like he was in a really difficult place, and now he's just like, you know what? It is what it is. We're somewhere.
We are currently in the world.
That's how I'm reading.
Turkey's quite fun. It's got some weird rules, but Poland's a nice easy one to start off with.
Mental.
Poland's a nice easy one to start off with. It's got really good rules, and Greece is pretty nice for rules.
Poland
as well. So,
is very open for league rules. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So again, keep all of that correspondence rolling in. Let us know how you're getting on. Keep up to date with all the social media channels, which of course are at the FM Show Pod. For any longer correspondence, send us an email to the FM Show Pod. That is the FM Show Pod at gmail.com. And of course, don't forget, you can join the Discord, which is a great place to hang out, discuss various FM ideas. Link, of course, Aaron, in the description below.
Yes.
That was episode 32 of the FM Show, hosted by myself, Tony Jameson. My co-host was Aaron Falloon, aka RDF Tactics. Our producer, unfortunately, wasn't here, but it was producer Steve Hankey. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and we will see you all next time.
Want to learn even more about Football Manager? Subscribe to the Patreon. Just visit patreon.com/thefmshowpod. Don't forget to rate and review, and follow along on the socials at the FM Show Pod.